When my boss walked into the cafe and caught me sitting there with a bouquet of yellow daisies, my heart almost stopped. Of all the people in San Diego who could see me on a blind date, it had to be her. My name is Ryan Walker. I am 26, and I live alone in a small apartment on the second floor of an old building in Mission Hills, right in the middle of San Diego. The place is nothing special. I have a sagging sofa I got from Craigslist, a cheap desk with my computer on it, and old curtains with a faded map of the United States. Every morning at 7 a.m. I grab my keys, lock the door, and drive to Media X, the media company where I work as an IT tech. My job is steady and quiet. No crazy deadlines like the content team. I fix bugs, reset passwords, help new people set up Zoom, and keep the servers alive. Then I drive home, play games on my PC, or scroll through funny IT posts online until I am tired. Some nights I stare at my phone and think about calling someone. I want to talk about nothing and everything. But there is no one to call except my mom back in Chicago. I have dated before. In college I fell hard, sent long texts late at night, believed love alone could fix everything. 2 breakups later in a busy work life, I just stopped trying. No more dating apps. No more first dates. I told myself it was easier this way. No drama. No heartbreak. That was before Ben barged into my cubicle one afternoon, waving his half-eaten salad. "Ryan, man, you have to try this blind date thing this weekend," he said. "Let us flying. I know a girl from my art class. She's cute, smart, into anime, and she likes tech guys. She is your type." I looked up from my screen. "Ben, the last time you set me up, she spent the whole time on her phone." He laughed. "I swear this one is different. Come on. You have been living like a grumpy old man all year. Let me set it up. I'll pick the spot." I do not know why I said yes. Maybe it was the way he said I was living like an old man. Maybe it was seeing people my age posting engagement photos while I spent Friday nights alone with my PC. Whatever it was, I agreed. And the date was set. The next day, I needed to leave work early to make it on time. That meant talking to my boss, Olivia Grant. She is the director of tech at Media X, late 30s, brown hair pulled into a high ponytail every day, bright blazers, and heels that hit the floor with a sharp click. She is fair but strict, and she walks through the office like she knows exactly where she is going and why. I still remember my interview. She asked me, "What is the most important trait for an IT tech?" I was so nervous I almost choked. I said, "Patience." She gave a small laugh and said, "Right. And remember to be patient with your boss, too." Since then, I have respected her. She runs the team well, never plays favorites, and always expects our best. But she also has this wall around her, like she keeps her real self locked away. That afternoon, I stood outside her glass office, wiped my sweaty palms on my jeans, and knocked. "Come in," she called. I stepped inside. "Miss Grant, can I talk to you for a second?" She looked up from her laptop, her eyes sharp. "What's up, Ryan?" Quote, "I was wondering if I could leave a little early today. I have a personal thing." Her brow softened a bit. "Everything okay? Do you need any help?" I shook my head and tried to smile. "No, it's something I have to handle myself." She let out a light chuckle. "All right. Finish those support tickets and you can go." Relief washed over me. I thanked her and rushed back to my desk, my heart beating fast for a reason that was not even about the date yet. On the way to the cafe, I passed Mrs. Miller's flower shop. I had walked by it 100 times and never gone in, but that day I pulled over. A bell rang as I stepped inside. The place smelled like fresh flowers and warm air. "Ryan, what will it be today, dear?" Mrs. Miller asked. She is this sweet older lady who always smiles like she already knows your story. I hesitated. A bouquet of yellow daisies. Do women even like daisies? She smiled. Daisies stand for new beginnings and honesty. If she likes simple things, she will love them. I paid, took the flowers, and walked back to my car. I checked myself in the rearview mirror, fixed my hair, practiced a smile that did not look fake. It is just a date, I told my reflection. Don't mess it up. The cafe Ben picked was on a quiet street near downtown, with soft yellow lights, a balcony, and worn sofas that made you want to sink in and stay. The smell of coffee wrapped around me as I stepped inside. I got there 10 minutes early, set the daisies on the table, and tried not to stare at the door like a lost puppy. That was when she walked in. Not the girl from the blind date, Olivia. My boss. She came through the door in a sharp blazer, laptop under one arm, espresso in her other hand. Her hair was pulled back the way it always was at work. She scanned the room for a free table, and my whole body went stiff. I looked away fast, but it was too late. Her eyes landed on me, on the daisies, on my nervous hands. "Ryan?" she said, clearly surprised. "What are you doing here with that bouquet?" I almost dropped the flowers. "Oh, Miss Grant, I'm meeting someone, a friend of a friend," quote. Her eyebrow lifted a little, and I saw the corner of her mouth twitch. Mysterious. Well, good luck. She took a table in the corner, opened her laptop, and started typing, or at least she pretended to. I could feel her glancing over now and then. Every time our eyes met, my face grew hot and I looked away. I wanted to sink through the chair. A few minutes later, the door opened again. This time it was Carmen, the girl Ben had told me about. She wore a bright red dress and had light brown hair in waves. She looked younger than I expected. "Hey, Ryan. It's me, Carmen," she said with a quick hug before sitting down. It felt polite, not warm. "Nice to meet you in person," I said, handing her the daisies. "These are for you. I hope you like them." She glanced at them for a second. "Oh, thanks, they're cute." She set them down next to her phone, which she pulled out right away. Her thumb started to move over the screen. Trying to keep the mood light, I asked, "So Ben said you're into art and anime. What do you like to draw?" She shrugged, eyes on her phone. "I draw sometimes. Anime's okay. I'm more into TikTok lately." I tried again. "What kind of videos do you watch?" "Whatever shows up. Memes and dances," she said, still scrolling. The talk felt forced. I ordered us lattes and kept searching for topics. Family, hobbies, shows, anything. Her answers stayed short. She checked every little buzz on her phone, laughing at messages I could not see. It felt like I was fighting for her attention and losing. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Olivia look up. She watched us for a moment before looking back at her screen. Then she glanced again. Once, twice. I wondered what she was thinking as she saw my blind date falling apart in front of her. After around 20 minutes, Carmen checked her watch and stood up. "Hey, sorry, my friend just texted. She needs me for something urgent." "I have to go," she said. "Thanks for the coffee. I'll text you later." I stood too, stunned by how fast it ended. "Sure. It was nice meeting you." She grabbed her bag and walked out, leaving the daisies on the table like they were nothing. I sat back down and stared at the flowers. My chest felt heavy. Another failed try, another reminder that maybe I was not meant for this dating thing. That was when I heard Olivia's heels stop next to my table. "Well," she said, looking at the empty chair across from me, "that did not go as planned." She did not even take the flowers. I rubbed the back of my neck and tried to joke. "Yeah, I guess daisies are not her thing. Or maybe I'm not." Olivia's eyes softened. She picked up the bouquet, turning it in her hands. Or maybe she has no idea what she just walked away from. "Mind if I take these? No use letting them dry out here." "Sure," I said. They're all yours." She lifted them to her nose, breathing in the scent. Then she looked straight at me, her voice a little lower, softer. "You know, Ryan, if you really wanted to go on a date," she said, "why didn't you try asking me out on a date?" For a second I thought I heard her wrong. My boss, standing over my table with a handful of daisies, asking why I had not tried asking her out. My mind went blank. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it over the quiet music in the cafe. What? I finally managed. Olivia smiled a little, not her usual work smile, but something softer. "I am serious, Ryan. You are a good guy. You show up. You work hard. You notice little things. You want something real, not drama. So why are you wasting your time on blind dates with girls who leave your flowers on the table?" My mouth felt dry. "Because you are my boss," I said. "And you are way out of my league." She let out a small laugh, then shook her head. "You really do not see yourself, do you?" She looked at the daisies in her hand, then back at me. "I am not saying you have to. I am just saying next time you think about going on a date, you might try asking someone who actually sees you." With that, she gave me one last look and turned toward the door. I watched her leave, the daisies bright in her hand, my mind spinning. The whole drive home I replayed her words. Ask me out. Was she joking? Teasing? Testing me? I sat on my old sofa that night, staring at the ceiling, the quiet of my apartment, louder than ever. Carmen had treated me like I was background noise. Olivia had watched the same sad scene and somehow saw something in me. The next day at work I tried to act normal. I fixed a printer, answered emails, checked tickets. But my eyes kept drifting to her office. She walked through the rows of desks like always, heels steady, ponytail tight, voice calm and clear when she gave directions. Nothing in her face showed what she had said at the cafe. Ben cornered me in the break room at lunch. "So, how did it go with Carmen?" he asked, sipping his coffee. "She left early," I said. It did not click. He winced. "Man, I am sorry. I really thought you two might get along. Want me to ask around for someone else?" Quote. I shook my head. "No, it is fine. Maybe I just need a break from the dating thing." I did not tell him about Olivia. Just thinking about it made my chest tighten. She was my boss. She trusted me with work. Crossing that line could ruin everything. Still, whenever I walked past her glass office, I felt her eyes on me. Once, our eyes met through the glass. Instead of looking away fast like I always did, I held her gaze for a second. Her lips curved just slightly, then she went back to her screen. By Friday, the question in my head would not shut up. Did she mean it? Most people had already left for the weekend when I shut down my computer and walked to her office. My hands were shaking so badly I had to shove them into my pockets. Her door was half open. She was alone, typing. The daisies from the cafe sat in a glass on her desk, a little wilted but still bright. I knocked lightly. "Miss Grant?" She looked up. For a moment her face was all business, then it softened. "Ryan? Still here?" I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. My heart thudded in my ears. "About what you said at the cafe," I said. "Were you serious?" Her eyes searched my face. It felt like she could see right through me. Then she leaned back in her chair, folded her arms, and gave a small smile. "I do not say things I do not mean," she said. "But if you want an answer, you have to ask the question." I took a slow breath. "Okay, Olivia," I said, the name strange and warm on my tongue. "Would you like to go out with me, like a real date, dinner?" For a second, silence hung between us. Then, her smile grew. "Yes," she said simply, "I would." Relief and shock crashed through me at the same time. "Really?" "Really," she said. "Pick a place. Somewhere quiet. Text me the time and address. And Ryan? Yeah? No work talk, she said. Just us. Deal. Deal, I said, grinning. That weekend, I paced my apartment like a kid before a big test. I picked an Italian cafe in Little Italy. Small, warm, with string lights outside and brick walls inside. I ironed a blue button-up shirt I had barely worn, pulled on dark jeans, and tried to tame my hair in the mirror. My hands trembled as I grabbed my keys. On the way there, I stopped at a small flower stand on the corner. My eyes went straight to the yellow daisies. I hesitated, then laughed at myself, and bought a small bouquet. When she walked into the cafe, time slowed. She looked so different from work. No blazer, no tight ponytail, no heels. She wore a light sundress that moved when she walked, and simple sandals. Her hair was down, brushing her shoulders in soft waves. She did not look like the sharp boss from the office. She looked like a woman on a date. "Hey," she said as she reached the table, her voice a little softer than usual. "Nice choice. This place is cute." I stood, suddenly shy. "These are for you," I said, holding out the daisies. "I thought it was only fair they got a second chance." She took them carefully, brought them to her nose, and smiled. "I like simple things," she said. "No one has given me flowers in a very long time. Thank you, Ryan." We sat, ordered coffee, and a plate of small appetizers to share. At first we talked about safe things. Work, the city, the weather. But then the walls started to drop. She told me about her early days in tech, how she had worked late nights in a tiny apartment, trying to prove herself, how being the only woman in a room full of men had felt like standing under a bright light, while people looked for reasons to doubt her. "I did not plan on becoming the tough boss," she said, tracing a circle on her coffee cup. "It just happened. When you are always being watched, you build armor." I kept telling myself I could not afford to be soft or needy. Somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like to let someone in. I listened, my chest tight. "I get that," I said. "After college, I thought love alone was enough. It was not." 2 breakups later, I decided to focus on work. Stay safe, no big feelings, no big risks. "And how is that working out for you?" she asked with a small, knowing smile. I laughed. "You saw my blind date." "So, not great." She laughed too, the sound full and warm. It felt good to make her laugh, not as my boss, but as a woman sitting across from me. The more we talked, the lighter I felt. I told her about my mom in Chicago, and how I felt guilty for not visiting more. I told her about the nights I stared at my phone, wanting to call someone and never knowing who. She did not judge. She listened like every word mattered. As the sun went down and the string lights above us began to glow, she leaned forward a little. "If I was not your boss," she asked, "if we were just 2 people who met here by chance, would you still have asked me out?" Quote, I did not even have to think. "Yes," I said, "because with you I do not feel like I have to pretend." She looked at me for a long moment. Then she smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "Good answer," she said. "And when we are not at the office, just call me Olivia." When I walked her to her car after dinner, the air was cool and smelled like the ocean. She held the daisies in one hand, her bag in the other. "Thank you for tonight," I said. "Thank you," she replied. "For the flowers and for letting me be more than the boss for once." I almost reached for her hand, then stopped, afraid to push too far. She noticed, gave a small smile, then opened her car door. Back home on my old sofa, I texted her before I could overthink it. "Thanks again for tonight, sweet dreams." A moment later, my phone lit up. "Sweet dreams, Ryan," she wrote. "The daisies are on my nightstand." As I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, I realized something had shifted. I was not just the lonely IT guy in a small apartment anymore. I was a man who had just gone on a date with the one woman who truly saw me. What I did not know yet was how our secret would soon start to shake the office, and how hard we would have to fight to keep what we had just begun. Dating Olivia felt like living two different lives at the same time. At work, she was Ms. Grant, the sharp director who spoke in clear, firm sentences and moved through the office like she was always 5 steps ahead of everyone. Outside of work, she was Olivia, the woman who laughed at my terrible jokes, kicked off her shoes on the couch, and sent me sleepy texts late at night. We kept it quiet at first. In the office, I went back to my routine: fix cables, answer tickets, slide past her glass office with a simple good morning. No long stares, no inside jokes, just normal. At least that is what we tried to make it look like, but my phone told a different story. During breaks, I would see a short message from her. Bad coffee in the break room again. Or someone just tried to open a support ticket by yelling at the printer. I would smile down at the screen and type back, careful to keep my face blank in public. Weekends became our real world. Sometimes we picked small restaurants where no one from work would show up. Sometimes we stayed in at her condo, ordered takeout, and watched movies on her couch, with our feet tangled together under a soft blanket. I learned that she liked old rock music and hated olives, that she always lit a candle in the evening, even if she was alone, because it made the place feel less empty. One Saturday we went for a walk on the beach just before sunset. The sky turned gold and pink over the water. She walked barefoot, sandals in her hand, the waves touching her ankles. I watched her laugh as the water splashed higher, and I felt something shift inside me. This was not just a crush. This was a woman I wanted to hold on to. But secrets have a way of pressing down on you. It started small. A project I had been leading in IT got moved to another tech. No big reason. Just a change. I tried to shrug it off, but then I walked into the pantry one day and heard 2 developers talking in low voices. "Must be nice to have the boss on your side," one said. "Yeah. Some people get all the breaks," the other replied. They went quiet as soon as they saw me. Our eyes met. They gave weak smiles and slipped out. The words stuck like a thorn. After that, I noticed other things. A couple of coworkers who used to joke with me stopped dropping by my desk. Emails from certain people turned short and cold. No more invites to grab lunch. It felt like a wall slowly rising between me and the rest of the team. I did not mention it to Olivia at first. I did not want to add one more stress to her world, but she saw it anyway. She always did. "Everything okay?" She texted one afternoon after a tense meeting. "You were quiet today. Just tired," I wrote back. "Long night. Do not shut me out," she replied. "We are in this together." That evening, she asked me to come over to her place. It would be my first time seeing where she lived. I drove to her condo in a quiet neighborhood, palms sweating. The building was neat and calm, with trees along the sidewalk. I knocked and she opened the door wearing soft jeans and a simple sweater, her hair down. "Hey," she said, stepping aside. "Come in." Her condo was warm and full of small touches, bookshelves along the walls, a soft throw on the couch, framed photos of places she had traveled when she was younger. On the small balcony, under a line of string lights, I saw a pot with bright yellow daisies. "You kept them," I said. She followed my gaze and smiled. "I changed the water and trimmed them. I was not ready to throw them away." We sat on the couch, her legs tucked under her, 2 glasses of wine on the coffee table. She looked at me with that steady gaze. "Talk to me," she said. I let out a long breath. "People are talking," I said. "I heard some of the devs. They think you are favoring me." My project was shifted. Some people barely look at me now. It feels like I am the weak link on the team, like I did something wrong just by being near you. Her face fell, but she did not look surprised. I heard bits of it, she admitted. A manager came to me with concerns. I hoped it would pass. I am sorry, Ryan. This is on me. No, I said, taking her hand. It is on both of us. I am not sorry we are together. I just hate that it might hurt you. Maybe I should move to another team. Or another company. I do not want to be the reason people doubt you. She shook her head firmly. Running will not fix this. If you leave because of rumors, it will only prove them right. I have spent years proving myself here. I am not going to let office gossip decide my life. Or yours. Her hand tightened around mine. We just need to be careful, clear, professional, and better than any doubt. Before I could answer, her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at it, sighed, and showed me the screen. It was an email from upper management. Media X had won the chance to bid for a huge client project, a full tech overhaul. It would decide next year's numbers. They want me to lead the bid, she said. Her voice was flat, tired, which means every move I make will be under a microscope, including you. The weight of it sank in. If things were tense now, they would only get worse once the pressure of a big project hit. More eyes, more talk, more chances for people to twist what they saw. What do you want to do? I asked quietly. She stared at the balcony for a long moment, at the daisies gently moving in the night breeze. I want to keep my job. I want to lead this project. I want to keep you, she said. I am just not sure how to have all three. A storm rolled in later that week, and it felt like the sky matched the mood in the office. Rain hit the windows hard. Thunder shook the glass. Olivia and I stayed late, trying to keep systems ready for the big client pitch. People were tense. Voices were short. The smallest problem felt huge. Near midnight, I walked past her office and saw her sitting alone at her desk, shoulders slumped, hands pressed to her face. The sight made my chest hurt. I closed the door behind me and stepped inside. Olivia, I said softly. She looked up. Her eyes were red around the edges. She tried to smile and failed. This is falling apart, she whispered. The team is split. Some people want off the project. They think I am biased because of you. If this bid fails, it all lands on me. I pulled a chair closer and sat beside her. You are not alone in this, I said. You have me. Tears spilled over and ran down her cheeks. For the first time, I saw the weight she carried without the armor. I am so tired, Ryan, she said quietly. Tired of proving myself. Tired of pretending rumors do not hurt. Tired of hiding how much you mean to me. I reached out and pulled her into my arms. She leaned into my chest, her hands gripping my shirt like she was afraid to let go. Then we stop hiding, I said into her hair. We face this together. We show them who we are with our work, with results. We do not let gossip decide who we can love. She pulled back enough to look at me. There were tears in her eyes, but there was fire too. Promise you will not bail if this gets ugly, she said. I promise, I told her. I am not going anywhere. Thunder shook the building again. Outside, rain hit the glass in hard sheets. Inside, in that small office lit by a single desk lamp, we made a silent choice. We were going to fight for this. For the project. For our place at Media X. For each other. What I did not know yet was how close everything would come to breaking before we found out if love and hard work would be enough. The next few weeks felt like a test of everything I was. A test of my work, my patience, and whatever this thing between Olivia and me really was. The storm outside that night passed, but inside the office, the air still felt tense. The big client project moved forward, and Olivia was at the center of all of it. Meetings, calls, late nights. She stood in front of whiteboards covered in notes and timelines, assigning tasks, taking hits, pushing people to give their best. Some people listened with respect. Some watched her and then looked at me. The whispers did not stop right away. I heard them in the hall, in the kitchen, even near the copy machine. Of course, Ryan gets to work late with her. Guess it helps to be close to the boss. Every word cut like a small knife, but I had made a promise. I was not going anywhere. So I worked. I picked up the extra shifts no one wanted. I handled boring tasks, the ones that kept the whole system from falling apart. I helped departments that had nothing to do with our project. When marketing's printer jammed and they were ready to scream, I fixed it. When sales complained that their old database was slow, I stayed late to clean it up. When someone's laptop died right before a big presentation, I brought it back to life. I did not talk about it much. I just showed up. Slowly, the way people looked at me began to change. A quiet, "Thanks, man," here. Could not have done it without you there. It was not warm, not yet, but it was less cold. Meanwhile, Olivia was under her own spotlight. I watched her walk into meeting after meeting, sharp and calm on the outside, even when I knew she was tired on the inside. Some nights, when everyone else had gone home, I would see her sitting alone in a conference room, staring at the slides for the client pitch like they were a mountain she had to climb. We spent a lot of late evenings together, hunched over screens in empty rooms, empty pizza boxes on the table. She would run through her presentation while I checked numbers and systems again and again. One night, close to midnight, she dropped her pen and leaned back in her chair. "What if we lose this?" she asked quietly. "What if all they see is drama and not the work?" I looked at her tired eyes and shook my head. "You built this whole plan," I said. "You pulled a shaky team into something solid. You think a rumor is stronger than that?" She gave a small smile. "You always know how to talk me off the ledge, you know that?" Quote, "That is my secret job," I said. IT and emotional support. She laughed, and the sound bounced off the empty walls. In that moment, it felt like we were the only two people in the building. Us against everything. The day of the big pitch came fast. The client team flew in and filled the conference room. Everyone wore serious faces and expensive suits. Olivia stood at the front of the room, dressed in a clean, simple blazer and a soft-colored blouse. Not showy, just strong. I sat near the back with the tech crew, ready to jump in if anything broke. For almost an hour, she led the room. She walked them through every part of the plan. Timelines, risks, fixes, tools. She did not rush, she did not stumble. When they pushed her with hard questions, she stayed calm and answered with facts. When they doubted a section, she pulled up numbers I had helped gather at 2 a.m. Watching her, pride swelled in my chest so hard it hurt. This was the same woman who had cried into my shoulder in a dark office. The same woman who kept daisies alive on her balcony. The same woman who had taken my failed blind date and turned it into the start of something real. By the time the client left, everyone was worn out. The office felt like a balloon losing air. We just had to wait. 2 days later, the email came. Media X had won the project. The whole floor erupted. People cheered. Someone clapped me on the back. Teams crowded into the main area as upper management called a quick meeting. Olivia stood in front, calm, but I could see the faint tremble in her hands. "This was a team effort," she said, her voice steady. "Thank you for trusting the process and each other." Eyes around the room softened. The same people who had been cold now looked proud to be there. The win did not fix everything, but it changed a lot. The rumors did not disappear, but they faded into the background. The work spoke louder. Later that week, I heard that upper management had called her into a private meeting. When she came out, there was a small, secret smile on her lips. "More responsibility," she told me later. "Not official yet, but it is coming." Quote, "You deserve it," I said. "You earned all of it." She looked at me for a long moment. "We earned it," she said. "You were there for every long night." With the pressure of the bid gone, something eased between us and the rest of the office. We still kept things professional at work, but we stopped acting like strangers. It started small. One day we happened to end up in the break room at the same time, and instead of leaving, she stayed. We made coffee side by side. Someone walked in, saw us chatting, and no one exploded. The world did not end. Another time, when we were walking out of the building at the same time, she did not rush ahead. She slowed down, so we left together. A couple of coworkers noticed, but this time, there were no sharp looks, just quiet understanding. They had seen us fight for the team, not just for ourselves. We did not make an announcement. We did not sit everyone down. We just stopped hiding. Outside of work, our world grew. Weekends became little adventures. Simple things. A movie at an old theater downtown, where the seats creaked and the popcorn smelled real. Walks along the harbor, watching boats drift by. Making breakfast together in her kitchen while music played low in the background. One weekend, I asked her to come with me to Chicago to visit my mom. The idea made my stomach twist with nerves, but it felt right. My mom welcomed her like she had been waiting for her. They sat at the kitchen table, talking like old friends. Olivia shared stories about growing up in the Midwest and how she had chased tech jobs across states. Mom pulled me aside later, a knowing look in her eyes. "She is good for you," she said. "You look different with her. Lighter." Do not let this one go, Ryan. On the flight back to San Diego, Olivia rested her head on my shoulder and fell asleep. I watched the clouds outside the window and thought about how far I had come from that lonely apartment with my faded map curtains. A few weeks later, on a warm Sunday afternoon, we ended up back where everything had shifted. The same small cafe. The same street. The same soft lights. I walked in with a small bouquet of yellow daisies in my hand. When she saw them, she laughed and shook her head. "You and these flowers," she said, sitting down across from me. "You know they started all of this, right?" I placed them on the table between us. "Full circle," I said. "First date that crashed, then you walking in, then us here again. Maybe they are our thing now." She picked them up gently, her fingers brushing mine. "If you had told me that day," she said, "that I would end up here with you like this, I would have thought you were out of your mind. And if you had not walked in that day," I said, "I would have gone home, chalked it up as another bad date, and gone right back to hiding in my little routine." She looked at me, eyes soft and bright. "You pulled me out of my shell too," she said. "I spent years proving I could lead. I forgot I was allowed to be loved. You reminded me." I reached across the table and took her hand. Her fingers closed around mine, warm and sure. "And you," I said, "made me believe I was more than the lonely IT guy in the corner. You saw me when I thought I had nothing left to offer." We sat there by the window, watching people walk past on the sidewalk. No walls, no secrets, just us, my boss, my partner, my person. As we stood to leave, she looped her arm through mine. The sun was soft on our faces. The city hummed around us. I held her a little closer and smiled to myself. Maybe happiness does not start with perfect plans or smooth paths. Maybe it starts with something small and almost silly. A failed blind date. A bouquet of daisies left on a table. And the one person who walks over, picks them up and asks, with a quiet smile, "Why did you not try asking me out on a date?"